Ew. Runny, loose, overly sweet, disgusting. These are the reviews coming in. Ugh. This is how I imagine Megan Sussex's jam scam to taste. Let's get into it. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So it's been about 2 days since I posted here. And of course, I have a breaking update. People outside of the Sussex squad, even though strangely enough the Sussex squad have not been able to obtain sample of Megan's alleged delectable jam, have gotten their hands on it. And of course, I have been perusing the reviews, and this article jumped out to me by the Daily Mail titled, "I got my hands on Rachel Ragland's jam, and it's basically quite disgusting." So, of course, it's not a surprise. It is not very nice, to say the least. Now, she was very particular during her interview on the Drew Barrymore show to emphasize that you cannot, quote unquote, categorize it as a jam. It's not a jam, it's a spread, because it's not 50% sugar and 50% fruit. But people outside of the PR Sussex machine have been able to get jam via her website, and they are the least bit impressed. So I'm just going to go through this article because it essentially is emphasizing everything that everybody else assumed. Now, another lady who is a part of Meg's PR machine actually has done a review on her TikTok account. I believe she's a famous model or blogger. And you could see that the consistency of the jam was rather thin and watery, and it didn't look very appetizing. So let me get into this. The purchase jars sold out in minutes when they were released on Wednesday, but Female managed to get our hands on the $14 raspberry spread in a keepsake packaging, no less, for the first public review. But make no mistake, her brand has now been rebranded to As Ever, and of course they're making reference to the way in which she sent her jam under the old name American Riviera Orchid to Kris Jenner. So I'm just going to skip through parts of this article to get to the good bits. So her raspberry fruit spread allegedly was inspired by the recipe that Megan had indeed crafted in her own home kitchen. And what they have basically said is that it essentially is very watery and unappetizing to look at. So as I'm talking, a few pictures should be playing here where you can see how watery it is. So once they finally unpackaged it and reached the spread, what immediately struck them about the container was its minuscule size. It's small, extremely small, containing just 215 grams of spread for $14. That's with a keepsake, or $9 without the keepsake packaging. And so it's rather overpriced, isn't it? I mean, it's extraordinarily overpriced, and you don't even really get that much. I mean, for $14 for a cardboard box and some jam, a tiny jar of jam, which is, as I'll get onto here, extremely unappetizing and watery, it's a bit of a scam. And therefore, that's why I tend to call it the scam jam. So let me carry on with the article. It feels quite small in your hand, especially as we compared its size to the Bon Man preserves, which contain 370 grams in a 13-ounce jar for around $6. And so you just think to yourself, she's literally trying to rip people off. But we know that this is a fake product that Megan literally probably whipped up in her kitchen with all sorts in it. I mean, the review has also detailed that it actually came with hair sitting on top of the spread, and you just think, what kind of health disaster is this? So it carries on to say, but the packaging aside, what really matters here is the taste. And we can't help but think As Ever's signature product might be in a bit of a jam. Immediately upon opening the jar, we were taken aback by its texture. The spread was very liquid and quite thin, a bit loose, if you will. If we hadn't known better, we'd have thought it melted during its expedited journey to us. That being said, it is described by the brand as including a hint of lemon and a fluid texture. Fluid or just damn right watery, like snot. I mean, I've got to be honest, the stuff looks unappetizing. And even with the model on her TikTok, she kind of demonstrated the jam, and her words were not that it's really nice. She's just like, well, it's very different. It's not your typical jam, and it's not very sweet, which is what I love. And come on, we know that you was paid to say this. We know you was paid to review it. We know that it wasn't an authentic, genuine review. The spread was very liquid and quite thin, the article continues on to say, a bit loose, if you will. If we hadn't have known better, we'd have thought it melted. That being said, it is described by the brand as including a hint of lemon and a fluid texture. Typically, a jar of jam is thicker and sticks together, whereas when we suck our spoon into Megan's raspberry spread, its consistency dripped off the silverware like a sauce. It was unappealing to say the least. As for the taste, it's extremely sweet, and we mean really sweet. It is reminiscent of a sugary raspberry dessert sauce rather than a jam or spread that's meant to be eaten on a piece of toast. The flavour was also surprisingly strong, which is where things began to take a turn for the worse. It was difficult to eat the spread with the toast, as it was so thin that it dribbled everywhere and made a mess. A once nicely toasted piece of bread became a sopping wet disaster after just a few minutes. The spread is so sweet that it masked the flavours from the sourdough, with only the sugar from the fruit and tang of the lemon coming through. Drizzled over vanilla ice cream, a piece of pie, or a big stack of pancakes, the spread may work and may even shine. But on its own, or eaten as one would expect to be able to enjoy jam, the product crumbled, or rather dripped, under the pressure. The jam performed even worse than when we compared it to a store brand raspberry jelly and a jar of Bon Mam, which both had a completely different texture and taste than Megan's spread. But both of the jams were much thicker, so thick in fact that you could stick a spoon in both of them and it would of course stay upright. They were also a tad less sweet than as ever's raspberry spread and didn't leave our toast soggy. If Megan really wants to continue down the jam route, it appears the Duchess may need to come up with a different recipe. The taste is almost nearly there, but its consistency, that takes away from the product, and it makes it an absolute failure. Out of 5 stars, we give it 2. The Duchess says that jam is her jam, but we're not sure. Maybe it's sauce? And what I really want to say is this. She doesn't even have this product FDA approved. And other people are saying, royal commentators are basically disclosing that Meghan is trying to do everything in-house. She's making mistake upon mistake. She's launched this product with no FDA approval, which is making this whole thing a risk to our general public health, along with so many issues going on with Prince Harry's charity mess that he is steeped in with Dr. Sophie Sentebale, and they are failing. They're ailing in being able to win over the public opinion about them, which is very low, and I don't think that they can turn this around. Now, she sent this product out to a lot of A-listers who have pretty much been quite silent on the whole, especially those such as Kris Jenner, about what they really think about it. And it just doesn't really look as though it's all that good. So with all that being said, guys, I'll be back with another one. Take care.